So Nsima, I know, you come from a background of kind of counting calories and weighing stuff and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But more recently, you've been doing a lot of intermittent fasting and you cut out a lot of carbohydrates, right?
Yeah, I've been going super, super, super low carb.
How are you
really
doing
high
that
fat.
with jiu-jitsu and power? And you're still strong. I mean, I think it was just 2 months ago or so you pulled like a 725 deadlift.
Yeah, no, it's. I think it took a little bit of getting used to, and it took a little bit of experimenting with things I could use in my fast to just make it go a little easier, so I wasn't, feeling like crap. I think some of the Perfect Keto products are pretty awesome for that too, like the MCT oils in the morning. But yeah, it took some time. It took some getting used to not having anything in my stomach and not eating food during the day.
My brother really struggles with fasting. He's like, I can't fast. And I was like, well, what if you have, some MCT oil in your coffee? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I can fast then. So he can make it till like 1 or 2 o'clock each day. A lot of people really struggle with that. They get too hungry. And the Perfect Keto products, I think, are a perfect addition to anybody that's trying to mess around with fasting or trying to make some good lifestyle changes to their diet. You can try the bars. You can try the MCT oil. They also have collagen. I mean, they sell all kinds of stuff, and all the products are really super high quality. People should be checking it out. Check out Perfect Keto. What do we got, Andrew? Tell them where to find it.
Cool. So our listeners can enter and stay in ketosis today by going to perfectketo.com/powerproject and use code POWERPROJECT and get 15% off all Perfect Keto products.
All right, so Mark, how lean did you get in your bodybuilding show?
I got as lean as I could. I was trying to be lean and tender. Not all of us can be tall, dark, and handsome.
Some of us can be. You can tan. But did you eat a lot of lean meat when you were getting ready for show?
I did. And you want to know what else is lean and tender?
What?
Piedmontese beef.
Ooh, tell me more.
You better believe that. The Piedmontese beef, what I think separates it out from a lot of the other companies is the fact that they somehow have the meat taste really tender and still have a lot of flavor.
Yeah.
But it's the fat reduction is amazing. It's unbelievable how much less fat is in the Piedmontese beef versus some of the other companies.
You look at their ribeye, right? Their USDA prime ribeye is normally 30 grams of fat. Piedmontese is 10. Saturated fat normally 14.5. Piedmontese is 4.5. They literally cut it in, it's a third of the amount of fat?
Yeah, are these cows jacked and tan or what?
Yeah, and the protein's more. Like it has 24 grams of protein in Piedmontese, and your normal USD prime has 19. That, I literally don't understand how these crazy scientists make this happen. Are these natty cows?
I think these are natty cows from Nebraska, which makes sense because everything's bigger and better in Nebraska. Or maybe that's Texas.
I think that's Texas.
I don't know.
But Nebraska
Andrew,
too, I guess.
Where can they find out more about Piedmontese beef?
All right, you guys can get lean just like Mark Bell and head over to Piedmontese.com. That's PIEDMONTESE.com. Enter the promo code POWERPROJECT. That's all one word for 25% off your order, along with free 2-day shipping on all orders of $99 and above.
All right. We rolling? We're good to go?
We're good to go.
Tell us about the workout that you just hit up, because we're here at CSA, Combat Sports Academy, and I just saw you hit up a little workout over there.
Yeah. I just jumped on one of the daily workouts of the day from CrossFit programming, so I use that as my conditioning portion for the day.
How long did the workout take? It didn't seem like it took like a long time.
No, it was a 20-minute every minute for 4 minutes, 3 different elements. So bike, double enders, and working to heavy deadlifts, mainly cardio, which is kind of what I'm pushing for right now, just at the stage I'm at and lead up to my next fight.
It seems like you've been an athlete most of your life, so I can't picture you really being like a cardio bunny, like some females fall into that category of like going to the gym and spending a lot of time on a treadmill and stuff like that. But how is this style of training, like this CrossFit style of training, is it a little bit newer for you, or did you know about it for quite some time? I've known about it for
quite some time. I started CrossFit and training CrossFit quite intently from 2011. I was introduced to it, and just as a general strength and conditioning protocol, it was new back then. Well, it was at that point where people were starting to catch on. It became what it is now, very popular, especially on my side of the world, Australia and New Zealand. It was just starting to really take off, and I enjoyed it, and it was because it was performance based, general, strength and conditioning protocol. So I really enjoy it, and I still do it to this day, not as intensely as I used to. I used to do all the Olympic lifting, competed for a minute. Nothing great, but just because I was following those through CrossFit, those protocols and those programs to get better and more efficient at those lifts, which helped translate to my sport specific stuff I felt.
Are a lot of people in MMA utilizing CrossFit workouts? Because like I said, that workout didn't seem like it took very long. Seems super efficient though.
Yeah. I think a lot of fighters do incorporate that style workout. Because you can like so many movements involved, as you know, so a lot of things can be tailored to and be relative to our sport, and just that the different time domains, and like I said, the protocol, like stop start explosive kind of, or it can be longer style, more endurance based stuff. So I guess the broad range that you've got in CrossFit can translate really well to the conditioning portion and assist in that we have for MMA. Yeah.
So you did CrossFit, Olympic lifting. You did some power lifting, right?
Yeah.
With Louis Simmons. We can talk about that more in a minute.
Yeah.
But how'd you get into the fight game?
Man, crazy story. Just I took my first trip to Thailand basically, and Muay Thai is the national sport of Thailand. And my girlfriend and I at the time were like, we're here. We were just doing a girls' trip holiday, and we'll give it a go. We'll give it a crack. Had fun. Didn't know what I was doing. Never did any martial art in my life. I looked like a total spaz looking
just
back at the.
Did some training for it, or just hopped right into a ring against somebody?
No. Yeah, definitely training. Definitely training. Yeah, just training in terms of like learning combinations, learning techniques, and things like that, and learning their way of training. Developed a love for it since then, but never did martial arts growing up, so to speak. I was always an athlete, like you mentioned, track and field, and also rowing were my own sports, and at a high level too, as a junior coming through the ranks, like Olympics was on the horizon. That was the path I was going, and then to do a full U-turn and to choose initially Muay Thai to now fighting. It's a trip to think about the journey today.
I'm really curious about this because like you were a really good athlete, but how does one go from doing Muay Thai to like hitting the ring? Because I know a lot of people that train Muay Thai, not a lot of people that train jiu-jitsu, but there aren't many people that take it all the way to going to the ring and getting hit and hitting others.
Yeah.
So when did you realize that you wanted to take it that far?
So after my first kind of 6 months of training, like I said, just having fun, basically using it as a bit of fitness, but I've got quite a competitive and addictive personality, which is blessing and a curse sometimes, and I really found myself immersed in it, like training twice a day and doing these 3-hour sessions, and just how Muay Thai is, how they train, and I really got addicted to it and formed a really great relationship with my trainer at the time. Like he took me in like a daughter and started really putting his time into me, and so that got addictive. And then a year later, there was a fight that came up in my weight class, and I was training at this point quite intently, like twice a day, immersing myself around the fighters, around the pro team at the camp that I was at in Thailand, and watching fights and going to live fights and things like that. And he, on 3 days' notice, he asked me if I would be into fight at one of the stadiums, and I didn't know what to do. I said, "Do you think I'm ready? Do you think I'm ready? I don't know." And I had all these doubts. I didn't know what I was signing up for, and it was 3 days. And he goes, "Yeah, sure." I was like, "Well, if you think so, then like looking back now, like I probably, knowing what I know, I probably would have given myself more time." And had a few amateurs and worked myself up the ranks, but I just went in guns blazing, and I never really had an amateur career in fighting and Muay Thai, so it was straight into full rules, and in Thailand, the mecca of Muay Thai. So that's how it all started. I guess ignorance is bliss, like you're kind of in that situation. But if anyone like asks me advice these days, and amateurs coming through, I'd say take as many smokers and amateur fights as possible to gain your experience, gain your confidence, be able to go back to the drawing board and train better for it, not just go head first like I did.
Do you think there needs to be something a little off in your brain to be a fighter?
Yeah, people say that, a little off. I'd say so, or maybe some sort of desperate want or need to, like, I don't know.
It just seems like the next level of competition. So, like, if we play basketball, it's like it's a made up game, but we still have to like fight. Football, same thing. Like it's a made up game with a ball, and then we have this objective to get the ball moving into somebody else's like territory, and then score a touchdown. And there's all these individual battles and fights going on, but fighting is the real deal, and you're putting yourself in harm's way. Not that you're not putting yourself in harm's way in other sports.
Yeah.
But it's that next level of like, holy shit, that person's going to kick me in the head.
Right.
Or knee me in the face or choke my ass out.
You could actually die. And that sounds really extreme to say because, usually you don't.
Yeah, normally you got like equipment or there's rules that prevent you from getting punched in the face or something.
Yeah, or taking too much damage. But like, the reality, and you don't, people say you don't play fighting. Like you very much have to be aware of what you're signing up for, and so I think there is definitely, I don't know what the correct word is. Crazy is probably a description that's in that, but as to why people sign up and want to pursue this and be fighters.
Is there something specific that you're finding that you get from it, whether it be the training or actually the in-ring stuff? Firstly, man, to do it, and I haven't even been doing it as long as a lot of other people, but you got to love the lifestyle and take the highs and lows, because there's a lot of lows. There's a lot of lows that people don't often see too much of, like, and so you've got to want to be the best and just have you like there's got to be something bigger than just signing up for fights, because so much is entailed in it, like on the back end, like I said, that people don't see behind closed doors. And I think the high of winning, the high of dominating someone else, and beating someone else, and that adulation, and different things trigger different people, I think, as to why they fight. But I think that feeling negates all the lows that can come with this sport and this lifestyle. It's not just about the wins and losses that people see under the lights, in the ring or in the cage. Like I said, it's everything else that comes with it. So you've really got to love it, and really got to love and chase that feeling of dominating and winning. And I think all that's comprised of it. Like I said,
if you can help me understand, because like when I watch fighters, or when you watch the YouTube interviews, like the pre-fight interviews and all of that, you see all the hype and you see all of that. But what are some things that normal people like us don't understand that fighters go through on the back end? Like what things do you guys deal with that just people like us, spectators, don't get?
I think the it's a very unstable lifestyle, nothing's guaranteed. Fights can fall through all the time. You could go for months or even a year or even longer than that, layoff from fighting due to injuries and all the training that's through all the hard training that we have to put our bodies through. We're constantly like grinding each day, especially if you're going to that level of being a pro, or if you are a pro, and all the different martial arts and components that are entailed in becoming in fighting. And so, just the day, you've got to sacrifice a lot too. You're away from family and friends and events and things like that you would usually be able to go to, because you've got to be at the gym first thing in the morning the next day. You've got to travel away from family. You've got to be away from family, depending on who you are and what you're doing. Like, that could be years, that could be months, that could be for a whole camp. And, a lot of people have families as well, not just partners or significant others or immediate family. So, it's slightly different for everyone, but all that is definitely felt. Not being financially stable all the time until you get those big breaks or paychecks, and that's small percentage really that can break through that barrier. So it's tough. You've really got to love what you do and believe in yourself, like to see that through.
It's got to be difficult to believe in yourself every single day, especially like the training is just like it's nonstop. There's so many different aspects to it. And me, coming to this gym here and there, because my friend has been training people here for years, Jesse Burdick.
Yeah.
So I've come around a bunch, but I don't know what it's like to be a fighter. But I've seen, up close, and I've seen, you guys kicking the bag and you guys doing all these different drills and working on jiu-jitsu and working on striking and working on wrestling and then you're lifting and everything else. And it's like, all right, well, you got an hour and a half, and the hour and a half, like, quote-unquote break is going to get massage therapy.
Yeah.
And then maybe grabbing some food on your way back to your next training session, So it's an enormous amount of work. And you mentioned kind of like an unstable lifestyle. I think that's what you're referring to, is like it's just never ending. It's like a never ending amount of work, and you can't ever master it. It's like really, really difficult as it is, and then you're never going to be like quote unquote the best at it. And the second you think you're the best at it, someone's probably going to kick your ass. Right?
Absolutely. So you've got to really love and enjoy your journey and know why you're doing this, why you started, and why you would want to pursue this, why to keep going. So that's where you do draw off your coaches and your teammates and surrounding, and some people can't find that all the time, but surrounding your self with a team that gets you, and because it is going to be your teammates or your coaches or whoever else is encompassed in that, your nutritionists, your doctors, whatever, that are going to be the ones that have to help you out and lift you up and give you that rocket up the ass when you need to sometimes. So you
don't crack.
Because it could quite easily happen, like daily. You know what I mean? So it just like you mentioned, like all that's encompassed in with our training, and then it's performance based. So we're always trying to be better or do better or compete against one another and our teammates in a healthy sense, and give each other those looks and those pulls. And so sometimes you're the nail, under the hammer, and that mentally more so that's hard to deal with. Especially if that's happening each day. Okay, all right, each session. Okay, all right, until you get a bit better. But you've got to really stick through those grindy parts, and that can be tough.
Last time I was here, I got to see you and a few other people go through some training, and it was really interesting watching Gaston go through some of his training.
Yeah,
he was just so stone-faced, like it was just, this is what I do, like, and he was throwing some crazy like hard kicks and stuff, but very rarely was there a change in like expression. And I'd imagine that some of that is probably just coming from the fact that like this is the shit I need to do every day, and if I get like overly hyped or overly stimulated, I'm not going to be able to bring it with this same intensity every day. And then I asked him when he was kind of wrapping up his practice that he was doing, I was like, what's it like for you nowadays going into a fight? He's like, it's just the training's done. I get a little nerves like anybody else. They come and they go.
Yeah.
He's like, the training's done. I worked as hard as I could. I put as much time as I could in, and the results will show up in the ring.
Absolutely. and at that stage it is. You have to trust, and you've done that. You've left no stone unturned and lead up to that point, and trust who's backing you in that corner behind you, and all that you've put into that and all that you've sacrificed. And it really is okay. Like, okay, we're here. The cage is about to be locked. Like, I've got two options. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's a crazy feeling, because all the doubt, all the highs, all the lows, and lead up to that point doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's all right. Game time. Like time to go or not. So and that's where you see
locked in a cage. It sounds crazy. If someone would have told you that's what you'd be doing. If they would have told you 20 years ago or 15 years ago, like what?
No fucking way. There's no.
Well, I'm gonna lock you in a cage with someone that's gonna,
Yeah, no way. And when my first fight, right, like I was mentioning before, how that all came about, full rules Muay Thai, full kicks, full shins, full elbows, all that. After that first fight, it was funny. I said to myself, I'm not cut out for this. Like, this isn't me. Like, it was more the emotional stuff that I was feeling, and granted, I had 3 days to process it, and I couldn't deal. And I was like, look, I did it, gave it a go. And just keep training and enjoying, burning a few calories and learning the art and whatnot. I was like, but the fighting thing, oh no, not for me. And then I got another fight, then another fight, and then another fight, and then it just that's how it all trickled into taking it seriously and becoming a professional. But it's like, if anyone had said that, I definitely wouldn't have believed them. Or, like I said, always been an athlete, but fighting's a whole nother thing.
How cool has it been watching women's MMA blow up as big as it did in such a short period of time? Like, women's boxing has been around. I can't name one female boxer, unfortunately. There's the WNBA. It got extremely popular, but it was never the main stage. It's never the biggest pay-per-view, event ever, right?
Yeah.
Now. Being a female fighter, like, how exciting is it for you? Absolutely,
it's huge. It's like, I started fighting before that whole blow up on the mainstream, and Gina Carano and Ronda Rousey and Cyborg and all those people started to really put it on the map. They were definitely pioneers in terms of the main stage and making it to helping develop it to what it is today. It's amazing. It's giving women more of an opportunity. This is a man's world, fighting in this MMA thing. So the fact that women are now being recognized and it's being encouraged. Man, even when I started, like I said, I haven't been around that long. Like, I've been doing 10 years now or just under that. But like, women wouldn't even get a look in, not even in the gym and stuff like that. Now, you've got mothers joining up, doing it for fitness, and you just girls that you wouldn't expect before, just doing bag classes now and boxing and kickboxing, or and attracting themselves to these arts. So it's super dope, and it's giving us another platform. And women fighters is something special because they have to have a much hardened mindset, I think, to be in this environment. And like I said, not just fight, but be able to come back day after day after day and immerse themselves in all that's and keep going with all that's involved. So.
Are you saying it's more difficult because there's not as many in your camp with you, or
as many women?
Yeah, as many women.
Yeah, and just like I said, it's been a male-dominated sport for a while, and the coaches, and so women bring a whole nother dynamic to not just martial arts but fighting. Women are more emotional, but that can be used as a great tool and a great gift. But also needs to be managed accordingly, and so it's a new thing. So people are still trying to figure it out. Do you know what I mean? But it's definitely evolving, like I said, really quickly with the rise of women's mixed martial arts in particular, and being on the main stage. So I think it's beautiful, and I think you don't realize at the time, but you're a part of that, and you must, and because I love it, and because other women I know around me love it, you must continue and show. And we're part of this. We're part of that evolution. So,
why are you here? Why'd you move to this area?
So, Coach Kieran Fitzgibbons, owner of CSA, he brought me out here 2 years ago now to fight professionally and train under the CSA banner. Like I mentioned, I was living and fighting out of Thailand prior to that, and I was kind of through the fight world, we'd always been in touch, and had watched me for a while, and I followed all his fighters here and the CSA Gym, and he was like, look, you're an amazing talent, and beautiful girl, you could do a lot more, but you're getting kind of lost and buried in the jungles of Thailand, like you're not. But he's like, he's like, it's been great for your progress and your development, but now it's time to go to the next level, and you need to be in America in front of the right eyes, in front of the right sponsors and promotions, and be more accessible. And that happened over a phone call, and this was right before I was actually going to stop fighting. I was going to move back to New Zealand, where I'm originally from, and take some time out. And so I was at a real crossroads at that point, and then this came up. Like, he literally put an offer to me to be out here, and through the help of one of the CSA investors helped me get over here, and I had to make a decision pretty instantly, like pack up my whole life and come here, and that wasn't the plan. And I was like, and he helped me get over here and make that decision. And I was like, all right, fuck it. Okay, well, what's the worst that can happen? I can always go home, and I've got a great base and great stable and great things that I can always go to back home. I was like, okay, but then, haven't gone back since, and I've been here now 2 years.
How many fights have you had in that period of time here, and how's it looking for you as you're moving forward? Yep.
So I had my first, got my first world title here. In Muay Thai, and one of the most legitimate bouts too. In Muay Thai, WMC world title, and that was my first fight with Coach K and under the CSA banner here. So that was amazing. And then I've had 3 MMA fights so far, and all under the PFL organization, this tournament that I'm doing. Yeah, so.
Cool, yeah, and there's a lot of great women that train here. You
Absolutely.
mentioned Gena Carano. Does she? I don't know. Does she still train here?
No. I think she's. I mean, as we all know, she's definitely retired from fighting, but she would still come in and train with us. But she's been busy. She hasn't been back for a few months. She's always traveling right now. But she comes into the gym and still very much gets down and still got it. That woman, she's amazing. Yeah, she's a beautiful person as well. Yeah.
For you, I'm curious about this because Mark mentioned a lot of people think some fighters have you have to have some screws loose to fight or something, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that, but what I'm curious about is it seems like when you watch some fighters, like he was mentioning, what's his name, Gaston?
Gaston, yeah.
Gaston, right?
Yeah.
He was talking about how calm he was. Some fighters, when you see them in the ring, they're super aggressive.
Yeah.
And some you see they're just super chill.
Yeah.
So you specifically, do you bring from aggression? Are you calm? Are you chill? How does that work for you?
For me personally, I'm my most dangerous when I'm my most calm. Absolutely. And there's no, and it's not even stage. It's just I feel like I'm ready for whatever at that point when I'm in the cage or in the ring. And that's definitely something that's been developed and trained too. Like knowing what my process is and developing that and knowing when I feel the best and when I feel my most confident and my most amped and ready to go, because for me personally, at that point it's like I'm not emotionless, it's just I'm ready for whatever comes, and therefore like you said, there is no triggers of excitement or doubt or anything at that stage. It's just like, cool, we're here, let's go. And you'll see, and people see me and they're like, you're quite like stoic and emotionless in there, and it's not because I'm trying to be, it really is at that point. And it's funny because I watch my fights over, or I'll see a photo and I don't know who that person is. It's like you're seeing yourself in third person. It's crazy because you can't even fathom outside of that, like what you're about to do, because it still scares me to this day. And then like I'll see photos and footage and highlights and this and that. I'm like, holy shit, like that's the last thing I want to do right now. Like, what the fuck? Who was that? Or like a couple weeks after a fight and you're getting to eat some good food and you're chilling with your family and friends and enjoying your life again a bit. And then, you'll see like, your fight that just happened a week ago and you go, who the fuck is that? I'm not that girl right now.
So speaking of watching, can you sit back and enjoy watching like MMA fights?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I'm a huge fan of the sport. And I call myself a fan because I really very much am. Like, I watch fights all the time, and my favorite fighters or different matchups that are coming up or are anticipated or built up, and I love it. I love watching fights. Like, I'm a fan, and I'm a fan of the art, because I can appreciate it firsthand. And so and it is. I actually it's not so much about the wins and losses. It's I'm watching how someone reacts to something. I'm watching their demeanor. I'm watching their decision making and all those things in those moments, So to me, I love it.
What's something that you had to work on the most over the last maybe 3 to 6 months? What was like kind of a glaring weak point for you that you feel like you brought up?
Well, definitely my ground game. I'm an elite level striker. I'm very comfortable on my feet, and not just for the strikes. So just my positioning and all those things that I've developed and trained over the years, but definitely my ground game has been something that I've had to work really, really hard on to transition it all and bring it all together and learn how to move on the ground just as efficiently and just as methodically as I would on my feet. And I think that's, a common story of strikers coming into grappling and the ground aspect of it. So that's definitely something that we've been working on extremely hard over here, and through Coach K, obviously, and our MMA coach here, Darren Monoyama, who's also a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu and Strike Force and UFC, all the old, Dream and all those old promotions there, and he's also brings that experience firsthand and that knowledge of what we need to be more efficient as fighters, and being able to translate from a striker's perspective how to best fast track, I guess, a lot of those those positions that we need specifically as fighters. So yeah, that's something that's been a big focus, and my wrestling a lot since I've been here, and I love wrestling. I really love wrestling. I adapt to it well and use it well with my style.
What's it like training here at CSA, having so many like-minded people? You have there's a lot of fighters here, a lot of pro-level fighters here.
Yeah.
How does that feel, having like a whole team of people that are pro and that are always wanting to get better and always practicing and always working on new things?
Yeah, it keeps you sharp, otherwise you get left behind. So it keeps you on your ball and on your game, and I think that's probably for me the biggest plus as I've evolved and as a fighter and as an athlete, you've got, if someone else around you or beside you that you train with is leveling up or getting better at some specific art, you have to too. And so it's cool. I think that's healthy. I think a bit of healthy competition like that keeps you hungry, keeps you the student, keeps you growing, and things like that. So I think it's amazing, and we all vibe and feed off each other, and we all have our moments in the light, like one person's fighting this month, another person's fighting 6 months, or whatever it may be, and we see, some of the great amateurs or people coming up as well. So it's inspiring. Yeah, it's inspiring, I'd say, and to use it as a tool for that. So it's been great, and this is the first time that throughout my career since I started training and fighting that I've been around so many women fighters. Coach K has developed a huge women's team, which is very, very rare in the world of MMA. I've always had only male training partners, or my main training partners only being male, until I've come here. So that was a totally different dynamic for me to realize and get amongst and get used to at first too, and also high level in terms of their specialties and their art. So it's been incredible. Yeah.
So you trained at Westside Barbell a little bit as well?
Yes.
Did you do some powerlifting, or was that for Olympic lifting?
No, I did powerlifting and followed at the time while I was there, followed Louis' protocol for his athletes. And like, as you guys know, he loves training and conditioning and strength training for athletes specifically. So I was under that program, and man, yeah, that was a crazy, awesome experience. I loved it. It's my kind of environment, though.
He stuck you on that belt squat, didn't he?
Yeah.
Tortured the shit out of you.
Yeah,
right?
I couldn't walk for 2 days, and I had no hamstrings back then, and it was killer. Right. And it was awesome though. But it opened up my mind and eyes to that side of training, and also just how much strength can benefit and bulletproof athletes if granted we know how to train properly. So it exposed me and opened up my mind to that, and strengthening those areas of weakness that are quite common for fighters in particular, like our hips, our back, posterior chain and things like that. And it was an incredible experience. And just him as a person as well. He's a character, man. He's a character, and I love it. He just doesn't want to leave his little shrine, and he's just like, he loves living amongst his full squares and his boys, and he doesn't want to really like do too much else outside of that. He'll send someone else. Oh, I'll do that. Oh, you want to do that certification? All right, go for it. Like I just love he's so old school. It's dope. It was cool experience.
I'm curious because you were mentioning that like right now, since you're getting ready for a fight, you're doing a lot of conditioning work here in terms of like the lifting, the CrossFit stuff. It's shorter workouts. So you have a pretty good strength program or background, and you know how to lift heavy.
Yeah.
Outside of getting ready for fights, do you still do like 3-rep maxes and stuff like that, or do you stay away from that type of stuff nowadays?
Yeah. I don't stay away intentionally.
Yeah.
But I've got to kind of prioritize my training and lead up to. So I'm not getting the time to follow a program, a strength specific program, though I would. But just with everything else that's encompassed in our day and what's prioritized and lead up, I'm not lifting so heavy just yet, but I can't wait. And I think I mentioned this to you before. I can't wait till after this fight to actually start following a strength program again and just getting back purely to just being on the bar and supplementary stuff to and all the just following a proper program basically of strength work to help develop that, because man, it translates it so well to what we do and bulletproofs us almost, and it helps strengthen those areas of weakness that we've got so much from our posture, from being in a unilateral sport, from beating up our bodies constantly. We need that work to balance it out too, but so many fighters unfortunately don't do it, or aren't exposed to it, or don't know enough about it, aren't as educated. So I feel it only benefits. I've just got to have the time to do it myself. It's the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, as a fighter too, it can cost you a lot. If you do max effort deadlifts and they make you super sore,
yes,
and you're slowed down and you're tight for 4 or 5 days, that's really not of a benefit because you got so much other training to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We need our legs to be fresh for wrestling, for striking, for sparring, for running, for all the extra conditioning stuff we do, but mainly for our specific sessions that we need to be as fresh as possible. But outside of fight camp, strength training I love, and I think it only aids and sets a good base.
What does your family think about you fighting? Are they supportive? Are they like, oh
now,
man?
Yeah, now at first
took a while, huh?
Yeah, it took a while, and I almost had to I had to distance myself because they just didn't understand it at first. And in hindsight now, I see why they were just like, you've got so many other qualifications and attributes why this, and because it really was, it's not like I grew up in martial arts and that was the path I was kind of going. It was like, cool, you're doing a bit of Muay. Oh, that's fun. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, all right. What, you're fighting? What, you're moving to Thailand? Like, what, what's, and they didn't get it for the longest time. So I was just like, I had to.
Like, for what? You're not going to get anywhere. Like, that's what they're thinking, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're not.
My mom thought it was for a guy. She was like, you got some boyfriend over there that you're going over, and she didn't get it. I was like, and I got so angry because it was just like, you're not taking me seriously.
Right.
But in hindsight, we laugh about it now, but. They thought I was mixed up in some underworld fucking thing there. I went there for holiday, and they're like, what's really going on? Like, this can't be, you can't think you're going to fight, right? Like, what? And so, it was hilarious. And then
it sounds fake.
Yeah.
It sounds like something from like a movie or something.
Well, right. And then prior to that, because I was rowing on the Australian circuit, going back to that, I was rowing and I was working in media. So I had a good... I was working for News Corp at the time, and so I was on a so-called good little setup and path as a 21-year-old. I had my looking on paper or outside looking in, I had my shit together, and I had it, but I really didn't, and I wasn't happy, and you were working to work, and I was very much in that system, and I think, and nothing wrong with that, but it wasn't. I was going with what I thought, was. The norm, or how you should live. And
so now they're more supportive? Do they show up at fights?
Absolutely. Now definitely more supportive, and over the years, and it didn't take too long, but they saw, oh, okay, wow, like, okay, she's really, really about this, and she's really dedicated, and she's doing quite well, like, and wow, she's traveling all over the world now, like, what, you know? So it didn't take long, and it's not that they were always not supportive, but I had to kind of distance myself and put my nose to the ground and improve, and I think that's what made me develop faster as well than most, is because I had a bit of something to prove in it, and also having that mindset and that discipline and that competitive nature definitely like crossed over and to when I started fighting and pursuing fighting seriously. But I definitely had a chip on my shoulder for some years, and then it was unlearning how to be kind of cool and calm and just like enjoy this. You don't have to keep proving everyone wrong all the time, but that's kind of how I think I got by and got through those first initial grindy years, like the first 5 years. And being in a man's world, like I mentioned before, like I had to prove myself even more so as a woman amongst a stable of men and killers, and I had to take beatings, and I had to give them back and not quit and not stop, because they would look at you like you didn't belong or like treat you differently. And that was one thing that drove me nuts at the time, coming through. And so it was good for what it taught me and what the mentality it helped me develop. And these days I'm definitely not as aggressive or as angry or as got a chip on my shoulder. I had to that took some time to unlearn as well. Yeah. Because
you were mentioning earlier that for a fighter you started late.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, because you said you were an athlete for your whole life.
Yeah.
What allowed you to, I guess, like you said, you were thrown into the Muay Thai ring, but what allowed you, when you started fighting seriously, to believe that you could actually get towards the top, knowing that you started later than a lot of top fighters?
Yeah, like I said, I fell in love with it, and I've got a very addictive personality. So it wasn't just like, showing up for a class every day. Like I was once I decided, I aligned myself with the pro team at the gym I was at, amongst some amazing Muay Thai practitioners at the time, and that were all fighting actively and had names in their own right, where we were at. And I kind of threw myself and trained alongside them, and I was picking up things a lot faster and learning things a lot quicker as well. And I think just kept coming back until people started to take me seriously, and I started to mix in and work with them, which, like I said, fast-tracked me a bit, I think. And then I was like, okay, I'm starting to hang with these people that are, world champions or established fighters, like maybe, and then I think honestly, just the belief and encouragement as well from my first coach, because fighting's mental. It really is. Like, of course, all the physical things that are encompassed in our sport, but it's so mental that I think having your team behind you and alongside you is just as important, because he definitely encouraged me or helping me believe at that point that I could be really great at this, and I think that's what encouraged me to go all the way with it and make that lifestyle change of like, hey, this is all or nothing, like, because you can work and do something else outside of that alongside the fighting thing, but I saw it as I don't have time to do that. Like, I've got to really like change my whole life around and sacrifice these other luxuries and things that I'm used to or were brought up with to be the best, which was what I was trying to go for and what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
Were there any tough lessons that you learned that maybe in that moment you're like, why is this happening? But looking back now, you're like, okay, that had to happen in order for X, Y, and Z to happen.
Yeah. There's so many that help shape that to what it is now. Like I mentioned, I think just having that disconnect at that point in time with my closest family and friends was a big hit in the face, and then it made me realize that all right, you've got to, you're either gonna pick it up or crack, you're gonna keep going and do this and prove people wrong, or crack. You've only got yourself, and that's what I told myself at the time, and that's the mindset I developed to make me pursue this with a vengeance and make me almost desperate. It's desperation to that point of where you just keep coming back and there's nothing else that matters. And so that was a big lesson, but helped shape me, definitely. And then I'm grateful that it's come full circle now, and we're all good, and we could understand at that point in time where each other was at and why that happened, and that I do have love and support, that I don't need to be this chip on my shoulder and trying to prove everyone wrong, because that's a huge emotional drain in itself, and you need all the good emotions to be able to go out there under the lights and perform and fight, which I'm just saying this as I've gone along is what I've learned, and how I've developed. So
you mentioned having an addictive personality. Has that ever led you down the wrong path?
Yep. Yep, definitely. Man, there was so like I said, originally from New Zealand, moved over to Australia, which is really close in proximity, the cities that I'm from, and when I moved to Sydney. And I mentioned before, I was working in corporate and media, and and Sydney's a really fast-paced, they work hard, they play hard kind of environment, and I consider Sydney like my second home, because that's where like my adult years were, like me as an adult, and where I had freedom, and when I was learning more about myself and kind of starting to party and stuff. And it was I really went for a few years there where I was burning the candle at both ends, and I was loving a high. And if it wasn't while I was competing and while I was rowing or in the gym, it was out partying for days. And so thankfully I didn't get into anything. Thankfully I'm still here, but I didn't realize at the time, but that it was the same kind of level of chasing a high. So,
how did you kind of rein yourself back in from that?
When I realized that what I was doing was becoming destructive and affecting different relationships that of mine, and when I started to hiding it, I was like, oh, okay, like, and then looking at myself like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't okay. You've gone too far. Like, this isn't you. But it was an addictive kind of high that I was chasing, and essentially, but the wrong kind, and too much of anything isn't good. So my whole thing is definitely learning and developed over the years to be more balanced. Blessing and a curse, like I said, having that kind of personality, because I'm all in or I'm not at all. And so, once I was aware that that's what I had, that's a trait and a mindset that I have, I had to, if I want my life to be amazing and great and achieve these things, I've got to learn to have a lot more balance, and just being aware of it, I guess. Yeah.
So you got this fight coming up.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Great. I've put in so much time, so much work. I know I've left no stone unturned, so my confidence comes from the work I've put in, and not just like we can do sessions and all the sessions are hard, but putting myself in real positions to where I've had to really fight and not avoiding that, because we as fighters and athletes, we can showing up just isn't enough all the time. You've got to know that you put yourself and tested your will and your heart and your mind, and not just your physical, to where you feel a lot more comfortable in the chaos, because by the time we get out there, you're rolling the dice, and whatever, a lot can happen. It can go many different ways in a fight. So just being as confident in my preparation and being prepared as possible. Got the last little bit of weight, which is always the fight before the fight, the real fight, I feel like. But honestly, if I didn't have that, I think I'd go nuts either way, because then I wouldn't have something to, I don't know, you just feel, I personally feel more ready. Like I've really sacrificed something and lead up to it. It's more of a mindset mentality thing. So apart from that, I feel great. And the next couple of weeks, one more hard week of hard training, and then the next week I can let my body rest a lot more and deload and reflect on the camp properly. Right now, we're kind of just coming to the tail end of the thick of it. So.
Well, we're excited to see you fight. I hope you kick a lot of ass. Where can people find you?
My Instagram is probably my biggest form of social media. So at Genah Fabian, same as my Facebook page. Twitter, which I don't really use. I know it's a big American thing, but there's too many apps. It does my head in. But it's all at Genah Fabian, and that's GenahFabian.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. Catch y'all later.
Yes, sir.